Okay guys, so in today's video, I'm going to be going over what I think is the perfect Fortnite loot pool for this new coming chapter. Obviously, I know that Epic Games isn't going to really listen to this video, and it's already too late to actually make this recommendation. However, I want this video to stand as what I think are the best weapon metas that we've had so far in competitive Fortnite, and how we can use these metas to balance out competitive and casual gameplay. I think these metas are extremely good, they're going to satisfy all player bases, so let's hop right into this video. Now, I want to start off by going over all of the various different seasons of the past two chapters and explaining which ones have the best loot pool and the ones that I'm going to be contributing to today's loot pool. So to begin, I want to go over Chapter 1 Season X. Now, a lot of you guys might be caught off guard here because you're actually thinking that Chapter 1 Season X was the time in which we had the mechs. And I'm going to be disregarding any mechs and sort of vehicles for right now. That's going to be the last thing that I go over. But putting aside the mech, Chapter 1 Season X had an absolutely insane loot pool. There are a couple of changes that I will make, and I'll explain that when I'm actually designing my custom loot pool, but Chapter 1 Season X was really good. They had a very solid assault rifle layout with over 4 assault rifles that you guys can get. They also had 2 separate shotguns you guys could get, a bunch of different explosive devices, also the ability to get a minigun and a bunch of different types of gadgets, stuff like Batman batarangs, shockwave grenades, shield bubbles, boogie bombs, everything you could possibly want. Another big thing is that they had pistols, revolvers, they had snipers, SMGs, they had pretty much everything you could possibly need in terms of getting your well-rounded loot. The meds in this season were very good. Overall, I think Chapter 1 Season X is really good to pull from. Now, the next season is going to be Chapter 2 Season 2, and I'm not actually focusing on any of the actual weapons here. I'm trying to only focus on 6 of the weapons. And as you guys know, those are the mythic weapons from Chapter 2 Season 2. I think that mythic weapons are a really good idea for Fortnite in general, simply because they're going to satisfy the casual player base by adding something fun, along with brand new POIs, brand new bosses, and a brand new element of playstyle. But I also think that it's really good for competitive because it's giving one person an advantage of having control over a specific drop spot. Especially in Chapter 2 Season 2, I like the way that the map was really spread out around the edges so that the games wouldn't be as dead. It would be a lot more active throughout the times of the game, and you would feel as if there were 5 POIs that were tilted towers, essentially. It's a really, really cool idea. The whole idea of mythic POIs, mythic weapons, mythic vaults, everything you could possibly want is in this season in terms of mythic weapons. That's why I think these need to definitely come back in order to satisfy both the casual and competitive player base. And then the next season is going to be Chapter 2 Season 4. And if you guys don't know, this is going to be the Marvel season with Stark Industries and stuff like that. Now, within this season, we actually had 4 separate ARs you could get. You had the opportunity of getting snipers, RPGs, 2 types of SMGs, 3 shotguns, pistols, and a bunch of different gadgets and meds. Obviously, fish have been out and released at this time. I think that this is just the better version of the Chapter 2 Season 2 normal loot pool. There's a bunch of different mythics and they're primarily superheroes, but I think some of them are really valuable for game modes like solos. The Silver Surfer one is the one that comes to mind primarily. I also think that the fact that we had shockwave grenades was very good. Yes, they are a bit unbalanced, but the game does become a lot more fun. I think the only downside of this meta is that we had crash pads. I'm not the biggest fan of crash pads because they make it very easy to exploit into someone's box. It's a bit unfair to actually have them. But I think shockwave grenades, bouncers, launch pads, those all need to be within this. Obviously, they didn't have launch pads this season, but if we add launch pads to this loot pool, it would be really good. I think the fact that we had all these fish, we had bandage bazookas, chug splashes were re-added. I think this is a really good weapon meta that people often overlook. Noms boxes were also huge during the season, with peppers being the primary form of rotation for people who are using those. Chapter 2 Season 4 was really solid, and I'm going to be pulling a lot of my ideas from that as well. And then the last season from the recent chapters that I'm actually going to be pulling from is going to be Chapter 2 Season 8. Now, this season was one of my personal favorites in terms of competitive. It was a very balanced loot pool, but it was honestly quite a lot of fun for those of you that were playing. There were a total of 5 different ARs you could get. I think that's really good, having a wide variety of options. There were 4 different shotguns you guys could get. You guys could get 2 different types of SMGs, 2 different types of pistols. You could have 2 explosive weapons, along with 2 different types of snipers. You could obviously have exotic weapons, as you guys know. Chili chugs were in the game. The slurp bazooka was added, along with a bunch of different meds like chug splashes, all the new added fish, and also utility items such as the recon scanner, armored wall, stuff like that. All of that was very valuable. Launch pads were obviously in this game. There was a grappler in the casual game modes. I think this was a very balanced time. This season was actually one of the better seasons within Chapter 2, I believe. It was the season right before we went into Chapter 3. And I think the map was pretty solid. I think there was a lot of loot. It was very competitively well designed. This is probably the best, most balanced competitive and casual loot pool we've had. But I want to make one that's really balanced and also really fun that continues to invigorate the game. So explaining to you guys what I think my perfect loot pool should be, I'm going to be going through each different types of things that we have and explaining why and how I think that this needs to be designed. So to begin, let's go over the assault rifles. I first off think that there should be many different choices for assault rifles if you guys are trying. I think there should be obviously the standard assault rifle, there should be the AUG or the burst assault rifle. There should also be something like an infantry rifle, and that could come in two different forms. That could be the Stark rifle or the Pulse rifle. They were both just like the infantry rifle and they were very good. Then there should also be a final type of rifle called the heavy assault rifle. I think this was really good, and I think it's for players who like to aim a little bit slower but do a little bit more damage. All of these various weapons are extremely good and extremely valuable. They change up the play style quite a bit. Obviously, if somebody finds an AR, they're going to be choosing that, but I think it's still really valuable to have all these different types, because players can play to their playstyle and not just get bored of using the same weapons every single game. Now for shotguns, which is going to be the next biggest topic, I think that we should have 3 different types of shotguns. We should definitely have the pump. That should 100% be in the game, no question. I also think that we should definitely have the lever action shotgun. The lever is a very solid shotgun just because if people don't want to use the pump for whatever reason, they're able to use the lever. And then lastly, I think that we should 100% have the tactical shotgun. And I'm going to explain why I don't like the combat or the charge in a bit, but the tactical shotgun is very solid. I think the tactical shotgun is really good for players who like to have a little bit worse aim, but do a little bit more damage slowly, while the pump is good for people who have better aim and like to do more damage in slower rates. The reason that I'm not the biggest fan of the new shotguns such as the Evo Chrome, the Auto Shotgun, the Striker Shotgun, I don't really like any of these new Chapter 3 shotguns simply because they feel like pretty much rip-offs of the pump. They all pretty much function the same. They're hit scan shotguns that do the similar amount of damage. I'm not the biggest fan of those, which is why I think we should just stick to the standard pump, tack, and lever. I don't like the charge shotgun because I feel like it's a bit clunky and it really is variable when you're playing competitive. It makes shotguns less of a point for competitive, and honestly the shotgun is by far the most important weapon in a person's loadout. Also, I think the combat just got badly nerfed. If it wasn't nerfed, I would 100% have it in, but it fully got nerfed, so let's just not even consider that. Now let's move into SMGs and pistols. Now for SMGs, this is a bit of a controversial topic. I think that SMGs should be just as valuable as shotguns. I don't think they should be too overpowered but also too weak, which is why I would recommend that we have 2 different SMGs. I think number 1 should definitely be the normal SMG, which includes legendary versions of stuff like the P90. And then the second type of SMG I'd recommend that we have is going to be the rapid fire SMG. I think that the rapid fire is really good simply because it has very little ammo, but it's also able to get a lot of damage done quickly. The rapid fire is in the current season. I do enjoy it, and I think that if the rapid fire is in the game, there's actually going to be quite a bit of debate as to which SMG is better, the standard one or the rapid fire. They're both quite good for different reasons. Obviously, I think SMG damage should be slightly nerfed. I think it's just important that that is realized. I think that will satisfy both the competitive and casual player base and make sure that we don't get into a spray meta if we slightly nerf the damage, but definitely have the rapid fire and the normal SMG. And in terms of pistols, I'd recommend that we have 2. Let's just get the revolver and the standard normal pistol. I think that the standard pistols from Chapter 2 were extremely good. We definitely need to consider bringing those back. They were one of the best weapons in terms of getting Storm Surge, just generally having them for whatever reason. They're really good off-spawn fighting weapons. Very good weapons. Now, let's go on to snipers and explosives. In general, I'm not the biggest fan of snipers. However, I would understand if they would like to keep in one type of sniper, for example, the bolt action maybe, making sure that only the highest rarities can actually headshot you. The blue should not be able to headshot you whatsoever. It should just be the purple and gold. I think that snipers are a valuable asset to competitive and also the casual. Because if you're in a casual game mode, hitting a snipe is amazing. It's one of the most fun experiences of Fortnite. But in competitive, it can really ruin someone's tournament. So I think that having a sniper in the competitive loot pool is really balanced, as long as there's only one type and it's only in 3 rarities, which is obviously going to be rare, epic, and then legendary. And in terms of explosives, I'm really not the biggest fan of explosives. However, if we do choose to have them, I believe that the best ones is going to be simply epic and rare RPGs. I think those weapons are quite honestly very good. I think the reason that they're really good is because they're really rare, first off. Second off, ammo is really hard to come by. And third, they're really balanced because there's not too many of them in the lobby. Make them very rare. Make these weapons a very exciting thing to get once you do get it. That's really going to help you out. That's not only going to satisfy the comp player base, but also the casual player base. And if you guys want to have any other wacky weapons, such as stuff like, I don't know, maybe the goo gun, that could be added in. But obviously in competitive, that's going to be a bit of a different scenario. But once again, all of these items are really balanced, not only for competitive, but also for casual player bases. Goofy guns and goofy items can be added in, of course. But let's get into the utilities now. Now this is going to be stuff like grenades, this is going to be stuff like recon scanners, whatever that may be. I think for utilities, some of the best stuff is definitely coming from Season X. Now we should 100% have, once again, the shockwave grenade, the bouncer, and the launch pad. Those are the 3 types of mobility that should definitely be in the game. I also think that we should have the shield bubble, and also we should have the harpoon gun, the bandage bazooka, and the slurp cannon. Now you guys might consider those to be types of healing, but I actually consider them to be types of utility because they're actual weapons that you fire. I, however, don't think that there should be any types of crash pads or none of that. I think that upgrade benches should also be extremely useful. They should reduce the amount of gold required for upgrading, and they should make it more accessible to players because I remember upgrading benches were super valuable back in the day. I also think that noms boxes should have peppers returned to them and drop more. It would be really helpful for a lot of players in terms of competitive rotation and just getting around the map faster, making the game faster while also having a lot of players like I mentioned before. I think in terms of special weapons, there should definitely be mythics, of course, too, guys. Mythics are once again one of my favorite things of competitive Fortnite and casual Fortnite. I feel that it makes competitive truly fun. So once again, mythics definitely should be added in. And then lastly, let's go over the heals. I think there should be 5 primary shields and then 3 aspects of white health. So initially, I believe that the med mist should stay in, and the bandage and the med kit should also be the base white health. And then for stuff that adds shield, this stuff can also add white health, but obviously you guys understand. All the fish that we have right now should stay in the game. 100% we should have chug splashes, not chili chugs, but definitely chug splashes. I think we should also have big pots minis, slurp juices, which is a really underrated pick. I think that's really smart. We should definitely have chug jugs. I think they're really valuable and they're really not too much unbalanced. Continually, for some of the last health items, we should definitely consider getting stuff like self revives if that's possible. I think they should be really rare. They should be legendary items. But if you can get a self revive, it's one of the most valuable things you can have in the game. But if you guys go around that loot pool, navigate what I said from ARs all the way to meds, I really hope that you guys will understand where I'm coming from and why I think it's a really smart loot pool. But anyways, guys, that is today's video on exactly what I think the best loot pool would be for casual and competitive Fortnite. I believe that this is the most balanced. I believe that this is possibly some of the best stuff you can actually do for the game in terms of the meta. Once again, guys, this video isn't just necessarily about Chapter 4. It's kind of just my general idea for right now on what I think the best weapon meta is. But yeah, I definitely hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's about it for this video, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.